Stop trying so hard. Seriously, that thing you're forcing, that goal you're white-knuckling, it's probably the exact reason you're stuck. Alan Watts figured this out decades ago, and what he discovered will completely flip how you think about success, motivation, and getting what you actually want out of life. Don't skip this video. Let it play, even while you're doing something else, because this message is for you, and it might be exactly what your heart needs today. Look, we've all been taught the same story. Work harder, push through, grind until your eyes bleed, control every outcome, and if you're not exhausted, you're not doing it right. But here's the weird part. The people who seem to actually get somewhere, the ones who look calm, who seem to flow through life while the rest of us are fighting traffic both literally and metaphorically. They're doing something totally different. They're letting go. And no, that doesn't mean giving up or becoming some passive doormat. Alan Watts spent his entire life exploring this idea, and what he found is that letting go might actually be the most powerful thing you can do. So let's dig into this, because it's going to challenge everything you think you know about motivation and growth. Here's the problem. We're all walking around like we're controlling things. We think if we just plan enough, work hard enough, worry enough, that we can force life to give us what we want. You want that promotion. Better stress about it every single day. You want that relationship to work. Better monitor every text message and analyze every conversation. You want to be happy. Better make a 12-step plan with color-coded spreadsheets. And what happens? We get tighter, more anxious, more exhausted. We grip harder and things seem to slip away faster. It's like trying to hold water in your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the more it runs through your fingers. Alan Watts looked at this and said, hold on. What if the whole approach is backwards? What if all this controlling and forcing is actually the thing standing in your way? Because here's what nobody tells you. Control is exhausting. It's this constant mental math where you're trying to predict outcomes, manage variables, eliminate risks. You're playing chess against life, and life has infinite moves you haven't thought of. You can't win that game. Nobody can. Watts saw people everywhere doing this, chasing happiness like it's something you can pin down and capture, pursuing success like it's a finish line that once you cross it, boom, you're done, you made it. Seeking motivation like it's this rare resource you have to mine from deep within yourself through sheer willpower. And all of it, every single bit, comes from the same broken idea that you're separate from life, that you're here and life is over there, and you need to wrestle it into submission, or it's going to beat you. But what if that's not how any of this actually works? See, when you're constantly trying to control everything, you create this massive amount of internal resistance. It's like driving with the parking brake on. You're moving, sure, but you're fighting yourself the entire time. There's this tension running through everything you do. You can't relax because relaxing means losing control, and losing control means everything falls apart, right? Wrong. Watts would say this whole mindset is the problem. The strain of control isn't making you more effective. It's making you rigid, brittle, unable to adapt when things don't go according to your perfect plan. Which, spoiler alert, they never do. Think about the last time you really wanted something. Maybe it was a job interview. Maybe it was asking someone out. Maybe it was trying to create something, write something, build something, and you wanted it so bad that you got in your own head about it. You overthought every detail. You rehearsed every possibility. You gripped so tight that when the moment actually came, you were a nervous wreck. You couldn't flow with it. You couldn't be natural. You were too busy trying to control it. That's the problem Watts is pointing at. We've been taught that more effort, more control, more forcing equals better results. But in reality, it often equals more suffering with the same or worse results. The real kicker? We don't even realize we're doing it. This whole control game is so baked into how we think about life that it feels normal. It feels like the only way to be a responsible adult. Letting go sounds irresponsible. It sounds like giving up. But Watts is saying something completely different. He's saying letting go isn't about giving up. It's about giving up the illusion that you were in control in the first place. It's about working with life instead of against it. It's about finding a totally different kind of power that doesn't come from force. And here's where it gets really interesting. Because once you start to understand what letting go actually means, not the lazy version, not the checked out version, but the version Watts is talking about, everything shifts. Your motivation changes. Your growth becomes natural instead of forced. You start moving through life in a way that actually feels good instead of like you're constantly at war with yourself. So what does that actually look like? How do you let go without falling apart? How do you trust life's natural movement without becoming a passive blob on the couch? That's what we need to unpack. Because this isn't just philosophy. This is practical stuff that changes how you show up every single day. Alright, so let's get into what Alan Watts actually means by letting go. Because this is where most people get it twisted. They hear let go, and they think do nothing. Like you're supposed to just sit there and wait for the universe to deliver your dreams on a silver platter while you binge watch shows and eat chips. That's not it. Not even close. Watts talked about this idea of acting without clinging to results. And yeah, I know, that sounds like a contradiction. How do you act, like really try, without caring about the outcome? Isn't the outcome the whole point? Here's the thing. When you cling to a result, when you're attached to one specific outcome, you create this massive tension. You're not really present with what you're doing. You're already in the future, worrying about whether it's going to work out. You're performing an action, but your mind is somewhere else entirely, running scenarios, calculating odds, preparing for disappointment. This is what Watts means by resistance. You're resisting the present moment because you're so focused on a future moment that doesn't exist yet. And that resistance, that's what creates all the tension. That's what makes everything feel hard. Think about learning something new. When you first start, maybe it's fun. You're exploring. You're curious. You mess up and it's whatever because you're just figuring it out. But then you decide you need to be good at this. You set a goal. You attach to an outcome. Suddenly every mistake feels like a failure. Every practice session becomes this test of whether you're progressing fast enough. The fun evaporates. The tension skyrockets. Watts would say you just turned play into work. You took something natural and forced it into a control framework. And now it sucks. Letting go means returning to that first state. You're still practicing. You're still trying. You're still putting in effort. But you're not strangling the process with your need for it to look a certain way. You're letting it unfold. You're trusting that consistent action, without the death grip of attachment, will get you where you need to go. Maybe not where you plan to go. Maybe somewhere better. This is where Watts gets really interesting. He talks about how resistance creates tension, but acceptance generates creativity. Let's break that down because it sounds abstract, but it's super practical. When you resist something, when you fight against what is, you lock up. Your mind goes into problem-solving mode, but it's frantic problem-solving. It's desperate problem-solving. You're trying to force a solution because you can't stand the discomfort of not knowing or not controlling. But creativity doesn't come from that tight, desperate place. Creativity comes from openness, from space, from being relaxed enough that new connections can form, new ideas can emerge. You can't force insight. You can't control when inspiration hits. It happens when you stop trying so damn hard. Artists know this. Writers know this. Musicians know this. You sit there trying to force something brilliant, and you get nothing. You give up. You take a walk. You stop trying. And suddenly the idea appears. Because you created space for it. You let go of the need to control it. Watts would say this principle applies to everything. Not just creative work. Your relationships. Your career. Your personal growth. When you're gripping tight. When you're trying to control every variable. You cut off the possibility for anything unexpected or better than what you planned. You're so focused on your narrow vision of how things should be that you miss how things could be. But when you let go, when you accept what is instead of fighting it, you become adaptive. You become responsive. Life throws you a curveball, and instead of freaking out because it's not what you planned, you can actually respond to the reality in front of you. That's creativity. That's intelligence. That's the opposite of the rigid control we're all taught to worship. Now, Watts talks a lot about attachments. This is huge, because most of us don't even realize what we're attached to. We think we're just pursuing goals or wanting things. But attachment is different. Attachment is when your sense of okayness depends on getting that thing. It's when you can't be at peace unless the outcome goes your way. And here's where it gets tricky. We're attached to so many things we don't even see it. We're attached to being seen a certain way, to being right, to having our plans work out, to not looking stupid, to being comfortable, to certainty, to control itself. These attachments, they're like invisible chains. They limit what you can do because you're always protecting them. You don't take risks because you're attached to your self-image as someone who doesn't fail. You don't try new things because you're attached to feeling competent. You don't have hard conversations because you're attached to keeping things smooth, even if they're not real. Watts points at these attachments and says, look, these are what's limiting your personal expansion and clarity. You can't grow when you're busy protecting all these things you're clinging to. You can't see clearly when your vision is filtered through all these fears of losing what you're attached to. Letting go of attachment doesn't mean you stop wanting things or caring about things. It means you stop tying your inner state to external outcomes. It means you can want something, try for something, without making your peace conditional on getting it. This is wild when you actually try it, because most of us have never experienced wanting something without the fear of not getting it. We've never pursued a goal without the anxiety of failure. These things feel inseparable, but they're not. It's totally possible to act with full commitment while simultaneously being okay with any outcome. Watts uses nature metaphors all the time to explain this. Think about a tree. Does a tree try hard to grow? Does it stress about whether it's growing fast enough? Does it compare itself to other trees and feel inadequate? No, it just grows. It responds to conditions. It adapts. When winter comes, it lets go of its leaves. It doesn't cling to them. It doesn't mourn them. It trusts the cycle. And then spring comes and new growth happens. But the tree didn't force it. It didn't make it happen through sheer willpower. It worked with a natural rhythm. Release and renewal. Death and rebirth. Over and over. Watts says we're the same. We're part of nature too. Even though we forget it. We have cycles. We have seasons. Sometimes it's time to grow. Sometimes it's time to let things die. Sometimes it's time to rest. But we fight this. We think we should be growing all the time, producing all the time, on all the time. And we wonder why we're exhausted. Letting go means trusting these cycles. It means recognizing when you're in a winter phase and not beating yourself up for not being in spring. It means allowing things to end when they need to end instead of desperately trying to keep them alive past their expiration date. Relationships, jobs, versions of yourself. We cling to these things because letting go feels like loss. But sometimes letting go is how you make room for what's next. Here's something Watts emphasized that most people miss. Letting go is actually a discipline. It's not passive. It's not lazy. It takes real practice to notice when you're gripping, when you're controlling, when you're resisting, and to consciously choose to release that. It takes discipline to catch yourself in the middle of anxious planning and say, okay, what if I trust this instead? What if I just do my part and let the rest unfold? This is especially hard in a culture that worships control. We're surrounded by messages that say if you're not hustling, grinding, forcing, you're losing. Rest is for the weak. Relaxation is for after you've made it. Trust is naive. Control is strength. Watts flips all of that. He says control is actually weakness because it's rigid and fragile. Trust is strength because it's flexible and resilient. The person who can let go is more powerful than the person who's desperately clinging because they can move with life instead of constantly fighting it. Think about water. Water doesn't fight. It flows. It goes around obstacles. It adapts to whatever container it's in. But over time, water can wear down stone, not through force, through persistence and adaptability. That's what Watts is pointing at. That's the power of letting go. So what happens when you actually start practicing this? When you begin to release the death grip on needing everything to go your way? A few things. First, you get less stressed. Obviously, because you're not carrying the weight of controlling the universe anymore. You're doing your part and releasing the rest. That's a lighter load. Second, you become more creative, more adaptable, because you're not locked into one rigid plan. You can respond to what's actually happening instead of what you wish was happening. You can see opportunities you would have missed because they didn't fit your script. Third, and this is the big one, your motivation changes. It stops being this thing you have to manufacture through discipline and willpower. It starts becoming natural. It flows from actually wanting to do the thing, not from needing the thing to complete you or prove something. This is what Watts means when he talks about motivation that flows from inner freedom. When you're not acting from a place of lack, of needing to fix yourself or prove yourself or complete yourself, you act from a totally different energy. You act from overflow, from genuine interest, from play. Think about kids. Kids don't need motivation tips to play. They don't need to psych themselves up to be creative or explore or learn. They just do it because it's interesting, because it's fun, because they're not yet burdened with all these ideas about how they should be or what they should achieve. What says we can return to that? Not by becoming childish, but by releasing the heavy seriousness we've layered onto everything. By letting go of all the stories about who we need to be and just being. By acting from interest instead of from fear or lack. This brings us to another key point. Letting go doesn't mean you stop setting goals or having direction. It means you hold goals lightly. You move towards things you want without making your worth dependent on getting them. You can have ambition without attachment. In fact, this might be the only way to have healthy ambition. Because ambition that comes from, I'm not enough until I achieve this, is always going to be painful. It's always going to involve suffering. You'll hate the process because you're doing it from a deficit. And even if you achieve the goal, it won't fill the hole because the hole was never about the goal. It was about your relationship with yourself. But ambition that comes from this seems interesting and I'm curious where it goes is totally different. You enjoy the process. You learn from setbacks instead of being destroyed by them. You're engaged without being desperate. Watts talks about how, when you practice letting go, you discover a spacious mind. This is a beautiful way to describe it. Most of our minds are cramped, crowded, cluttered with worries and plans and judgments and fears. There's no room for anything new. There's no space for insight or peace or creativity. But when you let go, when you release all that mental gripping, space opens up. Your mind becomes quieter, not empty, but spacious. There's room to breathe, room to think, room to be. And from that spacious mind, action becomes effortless. Not effortless like you don't do anything. Effortless like you're not fighting yourself the whole time. You're aligned. Your action flows from clarity instead of confusion, from presence instead of anxiety. This is what Watts calls adaptive action. You're not following a rigid script. You're responding intelligently to what's in front of you. You have direction, but not desperation. You have intention, but not attachment. You're in the flow. Athletes talk about this. Musicians talk about this. Being in the zone, in the flow. Time disappears. Self-consciousness disappears. You're just doing the thing, and it feels effortless even though you're completely engaged. That's what becomes possible when you let go. But here's the hard part. Our entire society is set up to make you grip tighter, to make you more afraid, to make you feel like you need to control more. The news is designed to make you anxious. Social media is designed to make you compare and feel inadequate. The economy is designed to make you feel precarious. Your education system taught you that you're only valuable if you perform. All of this trains you to grip, to control, to never relax, to never trust. So letting go isn't just a personal choice. It's an act of resistance against everything you've been taught. Watts knew this. He was speaking into a culture that was becoming increasingly frantic, increasingly focused on achievement and consumption and control. And he was saying, stop. Look at what this is doing to you. Look at how miserable you are while chasing all these things you think will make you happy. He wasn't saying don't have goals or don't do anything. He was saying examine why you're doing it and how you're doing it. Are you acting from fear or from love? From lack or from abundance? From desperation or from genuine interest? because the how matters just as much as the what. You can achieve all your goals while being miserable the whole time. Or you can pursue growth and creation from a place of openness and curiosity and actually enjoy the process. The external result might look similar, but the internal experience is completely different. And here's something Watts understood that most self-help misses. You can't force yourself to let go. That's just more control. That's just gripping onto letting go. It's like trying to force yourself to relax. It doesn't work. Letting go happens through awareness, through seeing clearly how much energy you're wasting on control, through recognizing in real time when you're gripping and just noticing it, not judging it, not trying to fix it, just seeing it. And in that seeing, naturally, the grip loosens, not because you forced it, but because you saw through it. You saw that it wasn't helping. You saw that it was creating the very tension and difficulty you were trying to avoid. This is a gradual process. You don't just let go once and you're done. You practice. You notice. You release. You grip again. You notice. You release. Over and over. It's like training a muscle. The muscle of awareness. The muscle of trust. Watts also talks about how letting go reveals what was always there. See, we think we need to create motivation, create discipline, create growth through effort and force. But what if all of that is already present? What if it's been there all along, but you've been covering it up with all your mental noise and gripping and controlling? What if letting go isn't about becoming something new, but about removing what's covering up what you already are? What if you're already creative, already capable, already whole, and the problem is just that you've been taught to not trust that? This is radical, because it means growth isn't about adding more. It's about subtracting what's in the way. It's not about becoming better. It's about becoming more yourself. The you that's there when you're not performing or proving or protecting. And that version of you, that's where the real motivation comes from. Not the motivation to prove you're enough, but the motivation that comes from knowing you're enough and acting from that fullness. This changes everything. Your relationships become more real because you're not performing. Your work becomes more engaging because you're not doing it to fill a hole. Your life becomes more enjoyable because you're actually present for it, instead of always reaching for the next thing. But let's be real. This is hard. We live in a world that constantly tells you to grip harder, that constantly creates new things to be afraid of, that constantly measures and compares and ranks you. Letting go in that environment feels vulnerable. It feels risky. Watts would say, yeah, it is risky. But what's the alternative? Spending your whole life white-knuckling through existence, stressed and anxious and never satisfied? That's not safer. That's just a slower, more painful way to live. The risk of letting go is that you might not get what you want. But the guarantee of gripping tight is that you'll suffer the whole time, whether you get it or not. So what are you really risking? Plus, and this is key, letting go often leads to better outcomes. Not because the universe magically rewards you, but because you're clearer, more creative, more adaptive. You make better decisions. You respond better to challenges. You're not in your own way. People who practice letting go don't become passive blobs. They often become more effective because they're not wasting energy on resistance and control. They're channeling all that energy into actual action. Present action, responsive action. Think about a martial art like Aikido. The whole philosophy is about not resisting your opponent's force. You blend with it. You redirect it. You use their energy instead of fighting against it. That's more effective than trying to overpower them through sheer force. Life is the same. When you stop resisting what is, when you stop trying to overpower reality with your will, you can actually work with what's there. You can use the energy of the situation instead of exhausting yourself fighting it. This doesn't mean you don't work hard. It means your hard work comes from a different place. It's not desperate hard work. It's engaged hard work. It's hard work that feels good because you're not simultaneously fighting yourself. Watts has this great way of describing the difference. He says when you're trying to control, you're like a person in a pool trying not to sink by tensing every muscle and thrashing around. You might stay afloat, but you're exhausted and terrified. But when you let go, when you relax and trust the water, You float naturally. You can swim efficiently because you're not fighting the water. You're working with it. That's what letting go looks like in practice. You're still swimming. You're still moving. But you're not thrashing. You're not desperate. You're flowing with the medium instead of against it. And the medium, in this case, is life itself. The natural movement of things. The way things actually work instead of how you wish they worked. When you align with that, everything becomes easier. Not because life becomes easier, but because you become more fluid. Now let's talk about what gets in the way. Because if letting go is so great, why isn't everyone doing it? What stops us? Fear. That's the big one. We're afraid that if we let go, everything will fall apart. We're afraid we'll become lazy, or lose our edge, or miss opportunities. We're afraid we need the tension to function. We're afraid that without the constant pressure and control, we won't be motivated. But this fear is based on a misunderstanding. It's based on the idea that you are separate from life, and if you don't force it, nothing will happen. But you're not separate. You're part of the same natural movement. The same intelligence that grows trees and heals wounds and orbits planets is operating in you. It doesn't need your micromanaging. Another thing that gets in the way is identity. We build our identity around being hard workers, being in control, being responsible. Letting go feels like losing who we are. Like, if we're not constantly striving and controlling, who are we? What's would say that's the point? Who are you underneath all that? What's there when you're not performing your identity? That's what's worth discovering. And spoiler alert, there's a lot more there than you think. We also live in social systems that reward control and punish letting go. Your job probably doesn't appreciate you trusting the process. Your family might freak out if you stop planning every detail. Society sees people who let go as irresponsible or naive. There's real social pressure to keep gripping. But here's the thing. You can practice letting go internally while still doing what you need to do externally. You can show up to your job, pay your bills, meet your responsibilities, all while holding it more lightly. All while not making your inner peace dependent on everything going perfectly. That's the art of it. And over time, as you practice this, you might find your external circumstances shift too, because you're making different choices. You're drawn to different things. You're not tolerating situations that require constant tension. You naturally move toward what flows better. Watts talks about how people who practice letting go discover motivation that flows from inner freedom. Let's unpack what that actually feels like, because this is the payoff. This is why any of this matters. When your motivation comes from inner freedom, from a sense of abundance rather than lack, it's sustainable. It doesn't burn you out. It doesn't require constant willpower or discipline. You're pulled toward things naturally because they're interesting or meaningful, not pushed by fear or obligation. You know that feeling when you're doing something you genuinely love and time disappears. That's motivation from inner freedom. You're not forcing yourself. You're not dragging yourself through it. You're engaged because the activity itself is rewarding. Now imagine approaching more of your life that way. Your work, your relationships, your health. Not from, I have to do this or else, but from, I'm genuinely interested in this, or this aligns with what I care about. That doesn't mean everything becomes easy or fun. It means even the hard parts have a different quality. You're choosing them consciously. You're engaged with them. You're not resentful or bitter because you're not doing them from obligation alone. This is what Watts means by action becoming effortless and adaptive. You're not following a script written by your fears or your ego or society's expectations. You're responding to what's actually in front of you based on what actually matters to you. There's a freedom in that, a lightness. And here's the beautiful thing. When you act from this place, you're more effective. Not just happier, actually more effective. Because you're clear, you're present. You're not distracted by all the mental noise of control and worry. You can see situations accurately and respond appropriately. Think about a conversation. When you're trying to control it, when you're anxious about how you're coming across, when you're planning what to say next instead of listening, the conversation sucks. For everyone. But when you let go of that, when you're just present and responding genuinely, conversations flow. Connection happens. Insight happens. Same with work. When you're gripping tight, trying to force a specific outcome, you miss possibilities. You can't think creatively because your mind is locked onto one track. But when you're working with a goal in mind but openness to how it unfolds, you're adaptive. You can see opportunities and make adjustments. Same with learning. When you're attached to looking smart or getting it right, you can't really learn. You're too defended. But when you let go of that, when you're okay with being confused or wrong, you learn faster. You take in information instead of filtering it through your ego. This spacious mind that Watts talks about, it's incredibly practical. It's not just a nice spiritual idea. It's a different operating system for your brain. One that's more effective because it's not constantly running background programs of anxiety and control. And the wild thing is, you don't have to take Watts' word for it. You can test this. You can notice in your own life when you're gripping and when you're letting go. Notice the quality of those experiences. Notice the results. See for yourself which approach actually works better. Most people, when they actually experiment with this, find that letting go produces better results with less suffering. But we don't trust it. We keep going back to control because it feels like we're doing something. It feels safer even though it's not. Watts is inviting you to question that. To really look at whether all you're controlling and forcing is actually serving you. And if it's not, to consider another way. Not because it's morally better or spiritually superior, but because it works better. Because it produces the growth and motivation and life you actually want instead of the stressed, exhausted version you're currently living. Here's the moment where this all comes together. The key insight that Watts keeps pointing at. The thing that changes everything if you really get it. You are not separate from life. That's it. That's the whole thing. Everything else flows from this one realization. See, all of our controlling and gripping and forcing comes from the belief that we're separate. That life is something happening to us that we need to manage and control or it will go wrong. That we're isolated individuals fighting against a chaotic universe. But Watts says that's an illusion. A useful illusion maybe. One that helps us function in certain ways, but still an illusion. In reality, you're not separate from the rest of existence any more than a wave is separate from the ocean. A wave isn't a thing. It's a movement, a pattern, a temporary formation of water that arises from the ocean and returns to the ocean. It's not separate. It's what the ocean is doing in that particular moment and place. You're the same. You're not a separate self trying to control life. You're what life is doing right here, right now. You're a pattern, a process, a temporary formation of the universe becoming aware of itself. And when you really get this, not just intellectually but in your bones, everything shifts. Because if you're not separate from life, then you don't need to control it. You are it. Controlling life is like trying to control yourself, which you're already doing without trying. Your heart beats, your lungs breathe, your cells regenerate, your food digests. You don't make any of that happen. It happens. You're alive without effort. The universe is already living through you. So all this grasping and controlling and forcing, it's you not trusting yourself. It's you not trusting the intelligence that's already operating in you. It's like trying to micromanage your digestion. You just mess it up. This is the key moment, the insight that breaks the whole game open. You don't need to force growth, because you are growth. You don't need to manufacture motivation, because life itself is inherently motivated. Everything alive is constantly moving, changing, exploring, adapting. That's what life does. You're not broken and in need of fixing. You're alive and naturally growing. And the only thing getting in the way is your belief that you need to control that growth. Your efforts to force it actually block the natural process. It's like a flower. You don't make a flower grow. You create conditions, and it grows by itself. That's its nature. Same with you. You create conditions. You take action. But the growth itself, that happens naturally when you stop strangling it with control. This is why letting go is so powerful. You're not giving up control of something you had. You're recognizing you never had it. You're surrendering to what already is. And in that surrender, you align with the natural movement instead of fighting against it. Think about how much energy you spend fighting reality, wishing things were different, resisting what is. All that energy is wasted. It produces nothing but suffering. But when you let go of that fight, when you accept what is and work with it, all that energy becomes available for actual creative action. This is the climax. This is where what brings it all home. The art of letting go isn't about becoming passive. It's about becoming real. It's about dropping the exhausting pretense that you're a separate self, controlling life, and recognizing your life itself doing its thing. And from that recognition, everything becomes easier. Not because life gets easier, but because you stop making it harder. You stop being at war with yourself. You stop treating existence like a problem to be solved and start experiencing it as what it is. The universe expressing itself as you. Your motivation stops being this thing you have to create and becomes what you are. Because life is motivated. Life wants to grow, to express, to create. That's built in. You don't manufacture it. You just stop blocking it. Your growth stops being something you force and becomes something you allow. You create conditions. You take action, but you trust the process. You trust that the same intelligence that turns seeds into forests can handle your development without you micromanaging every step. This is inner freedom. Not freedom from life or freedom from circumstances. Freedom in the midst of whatever is happening because you're not at odds with it. You're flowing with it. You're it. And here's what happens when you live from this place. Challenges still come. Things still go wrong. You still fail and struggle and face difficulty. But you respond differently. You're not collapsed by setbacks because you're not attached to one specific outcome. You're curious about what comes next. You adapt. You make decisions from clarity instead of fear. You take risks without being reckless because you're not trying to protect a fragile self-image. You're not performing for anyone. You're just being. Your relationships deepen because you're actually there. You're not managing how people perceive you. You're connecting from presence, from authenticity. Your work improves because you're engaged without being desperate. You care without clinging. You try without strangling. Your life becomes more of what you actually want it to be instead of what you think it should be. Because you're listening to what's actually there instead of imposing a plan from fear. This is what's possible. This is what what's is offering. Not a technique or a method, but a different way of being. One that's available right now if you're willing to let go of what you think you need to be and just be what you are. This is the turning point. This is where you either get it or you don't. And if you get it, if you really see through the illusion of separation and control, everything after this is different. Not perfect, but different. More real, more alive, more free. So let's bring this all together. What did we actually learn from Alan Watts about letting go? About motivation, about growth? First, we learned that control is exhausting and mostly ineffective. We spend enormous amounts of energy trying to force outcomes, manage variables, eliminate uncertainty. And what do we get? Stress, rigidity, resistance. We're fighting ourselves and life constantly. It's not working. What's showed us there's another way? Letting go, but not the passive, checked out kind, the active kind, the kind where you still do things, still take action, still have direction, but you do it without clinging to results, without making your peace dependent on everything going your way. We explored how resistance creates tension while acceptance generates creativity. When you're gripping tight, your mind locks up. You can't adapt. You can't see new possibilities. But when you let go, when you accept what is instead of fighting it, space opens up. Creativity flows. You become responsive instead of reactive. We looked at attachments. All those invisible things we're clinging to without realizing it. Our self-image, our need to be right, our comfort, our certainty. These attachments limit us. They keep us small. They prevent the very growth we say we want because we're too busy protecting what we already have. Let's use nature as a mirror. Trees don't stress about growing. Water doesn't fight its path. Seasons change without resistance. There's this natural rhythm of release and renewal that we're part of, but we've forgotten. We try to be in spring all the time and wonder why we're exhausted. We discovered that letting go is actually a discipline. It's not something that just happens. It takes practice. It takes awareness. You have to catch yourself gripping in real time and consciously choose to release. Over and over. It's training. But it's training that makes everything else easier instead of harder. And then we hit the core insight. You're not separate from life. This whole control game is based on an illusion. The illusion that you're over here and life is over there, and you need to manage it or it will go wrong. But you're not separate. You're what life is doing right now. And when you really get that, the whole game changes. From that place, motivation becomes natural. It's not something you manufacture. It flows from being alive, from genuine interest, from alignment with what actually matters to you instead of what you think should matter. Growth becomes natural too. You create conditions. You take action, but you trust the process. You're not strangling your own development with constant judgment and comparison. You're letting it unfold. Action becomes effortless. Not effortless like no effort. Effortless like you're not fighting yourself the whole time. You're clear. You're present. You're doing what needs doing without the heavy weight of attachment and fear. Your mind becomes spacious. There's room to breathe, room to think, room to be. All that mental clutter of worry and planning and controlling, it quiets down. And in that quiet, you can actually hear yourself. You can sense what's real and what matters. This isn't just philosophy. This is practical. This changes how you show up every single day. How you handle stress, how you make decisions, how you relate to people, how you work, how you live. But here's what you need to understand. This isn't something you achieve and then you're done. It's not a destination. It's a practice, a way of being that you return to again and again. You're going to grip. You're going to try to control. That's normal. That's human. The practice is noticing and releasing, noticing and releasing, forever. Some days you'll be in flow. Everything will feel easy. You'll wonder why you ever struggled. Other days you'll be right back in the grip, trying to control everything, stressed out of your mind. That's okay. That's the practice. Just notice it. Don't judge it. Let go again. Over time, the grip loosens naturally. Not because you forced it, but because you saw through it. You saw that it doesn't help. You saw that there's another way that works better. And slowly, gradually, you start living more from that place of trust than from the place of control. Your relationship with goals changes. You still have them. You still move toward things. But you hold them lightly. They're directions, not destinations. They're possibilities, not requirements. You can pursue them fully while being okay if they don't work out. That's freedom. Your relationship with failure changes. Failure stops being this catastrophic thing that means you're not good enough. It becomes information, feedback, part of the process. You can try things without the weight of your entire self-worth riding on the outcome. Your relationship with yourself changes. You stop being your own worst enemy. You stop the constant internal judgment and criticism. You start treating yourself the way you treat someone you actually care about. With patience, with kindness, with trust. Your relationship with life changes. It stops being something you're fighting and becomes something you're participating in. You're dancing with it instead of wrestling it. And yeah, the dance has hard parts, but it's still a dance. There's beauty in it, flow in it, joy in it. This is what what's offers. A way out of the prison of control. A way into the freedom of trust. Not blind trust. Intelligent trust. Trust based on recognizing how things actually work instead of how you wish they worked or how you were taught they work. And the amazing thing, you can start right now. You don't need to wait until you understand it perfectly or until conditions are right. You can start with the next thing, the next conversation, the next task, the next breath. Just notice if you're gripping. Notice the tension, the resistance, the attempt to control, and see what happens if you soften. If you release just a little bit, if you trust just a little bit, not recklessly, just experimentally. See what's there when you're not trying so hard. See what wants to happen when you're not forcing it. See who you are when you're not performing or proving or protecting. You might be surprised. You might find there's more capability there than you thought. More creativity, more resilience, more peace. Not because you added anything, but because you stopped covering it up with all your efforts to control. This is the art of letting go. It's an art because it takes practice and skill. You get better at it over time. You develop sensitivity. You learn when to act and when to allow, when to engage and when to release. It's subtle, it's nuanced, it's beautiful, and it leads to a different kind of life. Not a perfect life, but a more real one, a more alive one where you're actually present instead of constantly in your head managing and planning and worrying. One where your motivation comes from inside instead of from fear or obligation, where your growth is natural instead of forced, where your actions are aligned with what actually matters to you instead of with what you think you should care about. One where you're free, not free from circumstances or free from challenges, but free in the midst of them because you're not at war with yourself or with life. You're flowing with it. You're it. That's what Watts saw. That's what he spent his life pointing at. And that's what's available to you right now if you're willing to let go of the need to control everything and trust the intelligence that's already living through you. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to take anyone's word for it. Just experiment. Try it. See what happens when you release the grip. See what wants to emerge when you stop forcing. See what you're capable of when you stop strangling yourself with control. The results will speak for themselves. Not immediately, not dramatically, but gradually you'll notice. Things get easier, not because they change, but because you change. Your relationship to them changes, and that changes everything. So here's what you do. You start noticing. That's the first step. Just notice when you're gripping, when you're trying to control, when you're resisting what is. Notice the tension in your body, the anxiety in your mind, the tightness in your chest. That's the grip. And then, just for a moment, see what happens if you release it. Not forever, not completely, just a little bit, just enough to feel the difference. Breathe, soften, let go. Do this throughout your day, in conversations, in work, in traffic, in waiting, in planning, in doing. Just notice and release. Notice and release. That's the practice. Over time, you'll get more familiar with what letting go actually feels like. You'll start to recognize the signs earlier. You'll catch yourself gripping before you're fully locked up. You'll be able to release more quickly, more easily, and you'll start to notice the results, the spaciousness, the ease, the creativity, the flow. You'll start to prefer this way of being to the constant tension of control. And that preference, that's what sustains the practice. Not willpower, not discipline, just the direct experience that this works better. Watts understood that you can't convince someone to let go through argument. You can only point at the possibility and invite them to test it, to see for themselves. So that's what this is. An invitation. An invitation to question whether all you're controlling is actually serving you. An invitation to experiment with trust. An invitation to discover what's possible when you stop being your own obstacle. You don't have to do this perfectly. You don't have to let go of everything at once. You don't have to become some Zen master floating above it all. You just have to start, right where you are, with what's in front of you. One moment of letting go, one breath of release, one instance of trust instead of control. That's enough to start. The rest unfolds from there. And here's the secret that what's new, the secret that makes all of this possible. You already know how to let go. You do it every night when you fall asleep. You can't force sleep. You can only create conditions and then let go. Release control. Surrender to the process. And sleep happens. You do it when you laugh. Real laughter isn't controlled. It bursts out. It happens. You let go and joy flows through you. You do it in moments of beauty. When something moves you. When you're struck by a sunset or a piece of music or a moment of connection. You're not managing your response. You're just there. Present, open, letting it in. You already have this capacity. You've just been trained to not trust it, to override it with control, to manage and micromanage everything. But the capacity is there, waiting, ready to be used. So use it, remember it, practice it. Let go a little bit more each day, not as a goal, not as something to achieve, but as a way of being that becomes more natural over time. And watch what happens. Watch how your life shifts. Not all at once, but gradually, steadily, like a river carving through stone, not through force, through persistence and flow. Your motivation will change. It'll become more sustainable, more genuine, less about proving and more about expressing, less about achieving and more about creating, less about becoming and more about being. Your growth will change. It'll become less painful, less forced. You'll still challenge yourself. You'll still step outside your comfort zone, but you won't be at war with yourself while doing it. You'll be curious instead of critical, interested instead of judgmental. Your relationships will change. They'll become more real, more connected, because you'll be actually present instead of performing. You'll be listening instead of planning what to say. You'll be responding to what's actually there instead of what you wish was there. Your work will change. It'll become more engaging, more creative, because you'll be working with the materials and conditions you have instead of wishing they were different. You'll be adaptive instead of rigid, responsive instead of reactive. Your whole experience of being alive will change. It'll become more vivid, more direct, more real, because you'll be here for it instead of always somewhere else in your head, planning and worrying and controlling. This is the promise of letting go. Not that everything becomes easy, not that you never struggle, but that you stop making it harder than it needs to be. You stop being your own worst obstacle. You start working with life instead of against it. And from that alignment, from that flow, everything becomes possible, not because you're forcing it, but because you're allowing it. You're creating space for it. You're not in the way anymore. This is what Watts saw so clearly. This is what he spent his life communicating. And this is what's available to you right now. Not someday when you're more ready or more capable or more enlightened. Right now, in this moment, with this breath. Let go. See what happens. Trust the process that's already underway, the growth that's already happening, the intelligence that's already operating, the life that's already living through you. You don't have to manage it. You don't have to micromanage it. You just have to stop blocking it. Stop strangling it with control. Let it breathe. Let it flow. Let it be. And in that letting, in that allowing, in that trust, you'll discover something remarkable. You'll discover that you're more capable than you thought, more creative, more resilient, more whole. Not because you added anything, but because you stopped subtracting from yourself with all your self-doubt and control and fear. You stopped covering up what was always there. And what's there? It's enough. It's more than enough. You're enough. Right now, as you are, without the achievement or the proof or the control. You're already whole, already complete, already exactly what you need to be in this moment. The growth isn't about becoming complete. It's about expressing the completeness that's already there. It's about living from fullness instead of lack, from abundance instead of scarcity, from trust instead of fear. And that shift, that's everything. That's the whole game. That's what changes motivation from something you have to manufacture to something that flows naturally. That's what changes growth from something you force to something you allow. That's the art of letting go. And it's not just a philosophy. It's not just a nice idea. It's a way of living that produces real results, better results, with less suffering, with more joy, with more freedom. So take this and use it. Test it. Experiment with it. See if it's true in your own experience. Don't take Watts' word for it. Don't take my word for it. Try it and see. Because that's the only way you'll really know. That's the only way this becomes real instead of just another concept. You have to live it. You have to practice it. You have to let go and see what happens. And what happens might surprise you. It might challenge everything you thought you knew about how to be successful or motivated or good. It might ask you to trust in ways that feel uncomfortable at first. But if you stay with it, if you keep practicing, if you keep letting go and noticing and releasing, you'll find something on the other side. Something that makes all the discomfort worth it. Something that feels more true than anything you've experienced before. You'll find yourself, not the version of yourself you've been trying to create or maintain or prove, but the actual you. The one that's there when all the performance drops away. The one that's been there all along underneath the noise. And that self, that actual you, it's more than capable of living a good life, of creating meaningful work, of forming real connections, of growing and learning and contributing. It doesn't need all the control and forcing you've been doing. It just needs space, permission, trust. So give it that. Give yourself that. Let go of who you think you should be and discover who you actually are. Let go of what you think you need to do and feel into what wants to be done through you. Let go of the outcomes you're clinging to and open to what's actually possible. This is the art. This is the practice. This is the path that what's pointed toward. And it's not a path that goes somewhere else. It's a path that brings you here, right now, to this moment, to this life, to this breath. And this, right here, this is where life is actually happening. Not in the future you're planning for. Not in the past you're replaying. Here, now, in the present that you keep missing because you're so busy trying to control what comes next. Let go. Be here. Notice what's actually present. Respond to what's actually in front of you. Trust what actually wants to happen. And watch how life unfolds when you're not strangling it with your need for it to be different than it is. This is freedom. This is growth. This is motivation that actually sustains you instead of burning you out. This is what becomes possible when you stop forcing and start flowing. When you stop controlling and start trusting. When you stop gripping and start letting go. And it starts now, with this moment, with this choice. Will you keep gripping? Keep controlling? Keep exhausting yourself with the impossible task of managing reality? Or will you let go? Just a little bit. Just enough to feel the relief, the space, the ease. Just enough to remember that there's another way. The choice is yours. It always has been, and it always will be. Every moment is a fresh opportunity to grip or release, to control or trust, to force or allow. Choose wisely, choose consciously, and remember that letting go isn't giving up. It's waking up. It's seeing clearly. It's aligning with what actually works instead of what you've been taught should work. It's the art of being human in the fullest sense. Not human as a separate self fighting against life, but human as life itself, experiencing itself, expressing itself, growing itself through you. That's the vision. That's the possibility. That's what Alan Watts saw and shared. And now it's yours to explore, yours to practice, yours to live. So go live it. Let go and see what happens. Trust and discover what emerges. Release and experience what's possible. The whole journey is waiting, and it starts with one simple choice. Let go. If this resonated, check out the next video where we go even deeper.